Why is France going through one of its worst times that over the past 3 years, there have been 5 prime ministers which have changed and it's getting so many protests? Well, the biggest enemy of the French people today are its own senior citizens. And I'll explain what's really happening. Well, back in the day, France was one of the best countries to work in. So much art, literature, culture. On top of it, look at the social benefits. Free education, free healthcare, free pension. If you lose your job, the government pays you free salary till the time you don't find another job. Well, it was absolutely amazing. And every person who was a worker would pay taxes and part of it would go towards these social benefits, including pension. However, look at how things changed. Back in 1990, for every retired person, there were 5 people who were working. Till 2010, for every retired person, there were 3 people who were working. Well, right now, it is inching towards where for every retired person, there are just 2 people who are working, such that in the country, the amount of salary that is paid to workers is less than the amount of pension that they pay to everyone who is retired and needs healthcare benefits. So where is it leading to? Well, at such a point, their economy is such a mess that they're constantly just paying taxpayer money on pensions and a lot more. So how do they come out of it? There are only 3 situations. Either they can increase taxes or they can cut down on social benefits. Both of these things will lead to protests. So they thought, what is a creative way to solve this problem? Well, let's increase the retirement age of the population from 62 to 64 years. Just ask them to work for 2 extra years. Again, even at 64, the retirement age will be lesser than all other surrounding countries. And what do people do? 70% of the population comes out in protest against the government, saying, how can you ask us to work for 2 extra years when we are so used to a 35-hour work week and we get paid for doing absolutely nothing and enjoying this work-life balance? Well, any party that comes into power, they get overthrown because the public protests any of these 3 measures that they try to take. The other party that comes in again realizes that these are the only 3 things that they can do, and the people of France are just absolutely not ready to work and they just only want to chill. Which is why whenever you want to think of which country should you make your career for the maximum chances of financial growth, there are 2 factors that you have to look at. The first is demographic dividend, or the average age of that entire nation. The second is their willingness to work hard, which is why 20-30 years ago, the best countries to go to for career and financial growth opportunities were UK, France, US. But right now, on both those factors, the actual countries where you have the maximum chances of creating massive wealth for the next 2 decades are actually Asian countries outside of China, Japan, and Korea, which is India and Indonesia. So right now, if you are in Southeast Asia, you're practically in the best place in the entire world where you can secure your future for the next 20 years. Share it with someone who may need it.